Welcome to Look Behind the Look, the celebrated podcast that explores your favorite looks in film, television, and fashion history. Through conversations with the fashion world's elite and award-winning hair, makeup, and costume designers on sets around the world, you will see and hear exciting tales from behind the scenes, career origin stories, and tons of advice and tips. I'm your host, Tiffany Bartok. Hey everybody, today we are going to talk about The Bear. And this might be kind of surprising because the bear certainly doesn't look like it has hair and makeup, and that's what I wanted to talk to them about. I'm talking to Ignacia Soto-Aguilar and Allyson Vickers, who are the department heads for makeup and hair. And I was really curious about how they make this all work. This show is so authentic, unbelievably hectic, crazy, chaotic. I wanted to know what it was like on set, and I wanted to know the method to all of this madness. And there certainly is one. Allie and Ignacia are going to let you in on lots of secrets, and if you've seen the show, you love the show. There's no way you didn't like it. And if you haven't seen it, I don't know what's wrong with you. Go to Hulu right now. It's incredible. And you're going to remember Ignacia from episode 3, season 1. We talked then about her work on Claws, and now we're going to look at something that is the complete opposite of the glamour that you saw on Claws. And Ignacia is also known for her work on The Premise and Ultraviolet Black Scorpion, and she has Sacrifice coming up. And hair department head Allyson Vickers worked with Ignacia on Ultraviolet, and she has Leverage Redemption coming up. So listen to how they survived the set of The Bear and learn about Carmi's hair madness. Here we go.
This is your brother's house. I was running it fine without you.
Why didn't he leave it to you then? Don't wipe your hands on your apron, chef.
Chef. I refer to everybody as chef because it's a sign of respect.
You can throw down, huh?
Behind.
So how you gonna pass the family test? Delicious or impressive?
Delicious is impressive.
Word.
Yo, family's up.
I just never had plátanos with, like, grass on it.
We want to change this restaurant, right? But we have to change the chemistry.
Hey, why are you always, like, watching me?
Because it's just sort of my job.
We're the chili flakes. Cousin organizes, it's more confusing.
Right there. Labeled chili flakes.
This is a delicate ecosystem, and it's held together by a shared history and love.
I have every intention of turning this into a respectable place of business. Eventually.
Hey ladies, thank you so much for joining me. I've got Allyson Vickers and Ignacia Sotomayor.
I wish.
She can be my judge anytime.
You're not judging me, are you?
Oh my gosh.
Ignacia Soto-Aguilar. And we are talking about The Bear today and lots of other things. I was just texting Allie with Ignacia that I don't know why I do it this way, but I stupidly finished watching the last 2 episodes just now and like just finished hysterical crying. I've done this 3 times. I don't expect, to be crying, and didn't like Ignacia was saying, like with no warning. Well, first let me say, we're going to be talking about spoilers, so don't come crying to me about it. I told you this is it. Okay. So the last shot, I was not expecting any of it, the family meal, any of it. And then that smile at the end, just like, it was so good. This is obviously great filmmaking happening in TV content. And what brought you guys to this project?
And it's like you read the script, but you can't really picture it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know for Allie, but when I watched that scene, that last shot, like, broke me. I was I was not expecting that. Like, there was no warning.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. So what brought you to The Bear? Because, first let's address the fact that Ignacia, you were working on high glam, like ridiculous, like RuPaul's Drag Race, basically makeup, for Claws. And now we've got no glam. And I want to know what the bridge was that brought you to The Bear and to this project.
I know I've gotten that question so many times. We're like, aren't you the glam girl? Like, where are you doing this pretty show? Well, there were a few projects after Claude's, and there was one specific project that I had called The Premise, where I met Ayo, who plays Sydney.
Okay.
And she just randomly, casually mentioned this show. We really hit it off on the show. And she casually mentions that she has this show coming up that she would like to bring me on. And, you know, she didn't really tell me what it was about. It was just, there's this show that I would love in Chicago. I would love if you were part of it. Fast forward, like a month later, I get a phone call from one of the producers asking if I'm interested. And it just, I mean, of course, like whenever they first tell you about the show, it's like a cooking show, scripted, you know, like we really want to get the industry right. It's gritty. It's for FX Hulu. And it just sounded to me, the first thing I heard was, okay, Aya's there, which I love. In Chicago, I've never done a project in Chicago. So it's like, but then I get the 8 scripts and I start reading them and I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this show. Like this isn't a cooking show. This is about grief. This is about overcoming pain. And the kitchen just was this like kind of background noise, I think, to this bigger picture. So, and I think like time-wise with me, like I lost my mom, you know, 2 years ago during the pandemic.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And I think it just hit me like the way that I need it to be hit. I was like, I have to do the show. So I think I was working with Ally and I were working on a superhero series, and I just attacked her one day on set, and I was like, you have to do the show with me. It's in Chicago. Ally and I just bonded from like day one when we met. Like we were like, we say that we're orphans. We're orphans that were separated at birth.
And
we
finally found each other.
Yeah, and found each other. So like she's just like my perfect match on just as a, you know, hair, makeup. Like we work so well together. And specifically for this show, because of the pace of the show, I had to find someone that was okay with the pace being as fast as it needed to be without being like, because I mean, I don't understand. I don't know if you have ever touched on this part of the industry on your show before, but the hair and makeup unions are different. I mean, not different. Yes. The union's the same, but like our duties are different. So like, you know, the beard is makeup and the hair, like there's like a point.
Yeah, talk about that. That's crazy. So where does it become hair?
Sideburn.
Sideburn. It's like a weird sideburn line that like, and some people are very like huge about, you know, do not touch like a hair on that side or not on that boundary.
I see. And
this just wasn't the show for that, because
you don't have time for that.
Know, it wasn't because the pace was so important, you know. Absolutely. The intensity of the way that it was shot just is the show. So to go in and to have this like back and forth, like where the line ends, conversation every time we had to jump in was like gonna like we're like
that's a no.
So right, I know. So I needed to find someone that was okay with like me jumping in, adding sweat, and her just trusting my aesthetic eye, and her the same with me. So she was just a perfect match for that. And yeah, and once we got there, it was like day one. I remember Ally and I looked at each other like, did we really just have like a 7 to 5 day? We could go do whatever we want for the rest of the day.
Crazy. They shot so fast. I was
Did they?
What? We're done?
Really? That's a good feeling and rare.
Oh, it was so rare. Like, and I think it was just the nature of the storyline, you know, had to be shot in that way. Because they really focused on getting the industry right. Like they really focused on this. Like,
boy, did they. Boy, did they.
I know.
They really did. It's
so I have so much respect for that, because they never get that those industries right. Like even our industry, whenever they shoot things about us, you know, they really focused on getting that, how important the clock is in our lives, but yet missing out on real time outside of that room. So there's like this weird contrast of like the clock, but then we're still in this restaurant that's like 80s vibes, you know. Everyone is just kind of like letting life happen outside of that, because everyone is so focused at work. And I think I definitely related to that I think Ally obviously does too.
Were you ever
for sure.
Were you ever a waitress?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. Oh, you
We've
weren't
done-
Ally? Okay. Yeah, I see all the triggers from my traumatic bad waitressing days. Ally, what brought you to the project? Ignacia was like
Ignacia.
yeah,
she
she
looked at
just like
me.
she demanded you do this podcast.
I go wherever Ignacia demands, whatever. Like
Blink
blindly,
twice.
I will follow her.
Blink twice
I'm
if
good.
you need
Go with
help.
you. No, she talked to me about it on set, and I was like, without any hesitation or almost any knowledge on the show, I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I just like felt like it was the right thing to do. And then once we really started talking about it and I found out more of the show, I was like, oh, I can't see myself not being there. Like, I have to do this.
Yeah.
And I think like Ally and I were both like, I think, weren't we watching the pilot? Because I was sent the pilot.
Yeah.
Because I had already done the pilot without Ally.
Oh.
And then the pilot, there's this break after the pilot where like the show either gets
picked up. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think I was sent the pilot whenever I heard about the pickup. And I was like with Ally in the corner of set just watching. We were watching it.
Oh my God.
And like sharing one ear pod. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I want to do this.
That's exactly what happened.
And Ally and I were talking a little bit before about how people will say, what do you guys even do on the set? Like, wait, it's so easy, right? I mean, you just make them look like shit and put them out there. But like, can you talk about the effort that you put into doing your job on something like this?
Okay, I mean, when we first mentioned like how good Carmi's hair looked, like Ally killed it. Carmi's hair is the show. Like, it's the best.
Oh my God. It was so much fun, doing hair like that. But there is like a lot that goes into it because continuity wise, you're always moving and, there is styling that happens in the morning, contrary to popular belief.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a whole, do to get done. And then you have to maintain it all day, every day.
Yep.
And then also
Jeremy
going back
was so
to
fun.
That pace thing.
Yeah.
Have like we had to create looks that were maintainable, like even if because sometimes they would cut and like, okay, going again, and then we'd be shooting. So it was like this because not to lose the energy, which is
that's the main question that people have for me when I told people that I was talking to you, like, how are you surviving these sets? Where's Video Village? Like, where are you guys in that intimate setting? Because I mean, episode 7,
right,
with the stabbing, I mean, like, how can you talk to me about what that week looked like for you guys? Where were you in the room?
Make sandwiches. Don't stop making fucking sandwiches.
Yes, chef.
I'm gonna make 3 sections, okay? They're gonna be wet, hot, and sweet. All right, I'm gonna take green tape, make those sections. Louis, I want you to get the sandwiches, put them in the corresponding sections. Copy?
Okay, yeah.
Yo, sweet, bag, Sharpie, label that shit, please, chef.
Yes, chef.
Martina, fire every single chicken we have, please, okay? Richie, do you even know how to do fries?
Episode 7. So that was the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my entire career. I think I called everyone that night. I was like, you have no idea what I just witnessed.
Yeah, every person I know.
On like what we do, because I'm like, wait, we haven't needed to do 12-hour days this entire time. Like, what? But no, it was. So I think the way they did it, they rehearsed it either 2 or 3 days because it was. I don't know if you noticed, it was all one shot.
Yeah, of course I noticed. I mean, like, Emmy right now, get the Emmy, give it to everybody before the Emmys.
Chris was the director, and Andrew, who's the cinematographer. Like, I don't even know how they did it, but it was very theater style. And so they rehearsed like 2 or 3 days, and then the 3rd or 4th day they shot it like I think 3 or 4 times. I want to say like the 3rd or 4th shot is what actually they used.
I think so. I'm not sure.
And I have one question. On rehearsal days, are you there? Do you have to come to work? Can you just be like, guys, you're just rehearsing, right?
No, we do. No, we do come to work.
Okay.
And anyway, some of the actors like to feel like their character, and Carmi has tattoos.
Right.
The hair, and Ayo, she would come in and get her skin stuff, and there's so much work to do. I mean, we're making tattoos.
Of course.
There's so much to do outside of that rehearsal time, and that only happened once. We only had that rehearsal time once, and then we had but everything else shot like a regular show.
Okay.
They had us on set for the camera rehearsal just so we could see where to be like on the day and how everything was going to move. That was cool because I was like, okay, like I've been doing this for 17 years. I've never seen somebody do like a 18-page oneer. So I'm like,
Oh my God.
where will I be hiding? And then once I saw him, I'm like, oh, okay, this is awesome. It was so cool.
Yeah. How amazing to see all that come together. How many times did they shoot it? Do you remember?
4 times.
Four or five, I think.
Wow.
After every take, everybody got up and clapped. It was like watching a, ballet in real time, like the way they moved and the way cameras moved with them. It was really beautiful.
They would come out like high-fiving them. Like I don't even high-five anybody, but like for some reason I just had the need to be like, you're so badass.
It was incredible.
Super athletic. I mean, just the acting. Is the cast method during this process, or are they like, what is the energy like in the trailer versus on set?
They all have such good energy. I wouldn't say they were method. They're definitely very like serious about what they're doing. I mean, they trained as chefs, like they worked really hard. So it was like all taken very seriously, but I had great conversations with them in the trailer.
They're not screaming "fuck you" and
no.
And
I think what really made it really great is that Chris, what I noticed more than anything was how much he lets his actors take their character, and it makes them so much more confident on set. I think to have that liberty to be like, look, I think we should shoot this way. And Chris was so open to all the ideas, so I don't think that they felt the need to like meet this requirement of intensity before shooting, because once they were able to like collab and have this like beautiful dance go on.
Yeah.
But no, it was so great. And going back to your question about shooting a show like this versus shooting a glam show, it's actually harder. It's actually harder.
Interesting.
To do this because obviously continuity is such a big. I mean, it's the show. You need continuity in order to have a believable, plausible storyline. But then also,
sorry about my big cup.
Oh, please.
Right?
We all have a big cup.
Right. Exactly. But you also have to take into consideration that like sometimes you have to know when to not touch their face, because their face is going to do more amazing things than makeup can. And I think as an artist, that's kind of hard to do, because you're like, well, I think I can, do redness better than his face can. But like, you can't. Yeah. So you have to trust their face. You have to trust their, like, because you can't jump in every take either. So there were some things that I knew that if I started doing makeup, I just wasn't going to be able to go in and run in and touch up.
Right.
So, and it wasn't so much like, I mean, I would obviously jump in if I needed to, but for Jeremy, who played Carmi, I just didn't want to be touching his face while he was in Carmi mode, because he was so in it. And it was, respect for what they were doing, which was so beautiful. Like you almost felt like disrespectful sometimes, jumping in being like, sorry, I have to add sweat to you, which Allie and I, like, we need to be sponsored by Evian, because
I've never used so much Evian in my life.
Is that what you use? Okay. And just the aerosol.
So much.
Yeah, aerosol, because it's so cold there. So like their sweat glands are not.
They're performers. When did you shoot this? When did what months was this?
We started in February.
Oh God.
In Chicago. So it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Chicago. I mean, my son is obsessed. And so we like talk about Chicago all the time. And when I saw this was set in Chicago, I was like, oh my God, amazing. We were just there. But I was feeling so bad for you guys if you ever go do exteriors in the winter. I hope that never happens.
I had to buy a snowsuit. Yeah. Something that I did that was not a part of my kit prior to that.
You had to, you did.
I was just so cold.
Yeah.
And like, I got there and I'm like, my coat and my pants will be fine. I have warm boots. And then I'm like looking at all the locals and they have like snow gear on. I'm like, huh. And then like after the first night outside or day, I was like, oh no, Amazon snowsuit. I'll look ridiculous. I don't care.
Allie and I walked in like snow Barbies. Like the first, they were like, yeah, we got this. And then like, because we chose fashion over like functionality,
of course.
And then first they were like, yeah, we need to go shopping for like,
it's serious. It's serious. Yeah. And it's long, right? Oh my gosh. But that bridge in Chicago, I mean, I've been on it a million times. It's so I mean, it's just beautiful. How did they do the bear? How do you see the bear when you're there? Is there a bear, or is it?
That was on the
post?
pilot. They
Okay.
did. Yeah. I mean, so on that shot, I was with Io, so I had somebody else cover. Yeah. And so I think 99% sure there actually was a bear. I can confirm after we do the podcast, but I'm 99% sure that yes, there was a bear on set that day.
Oh my God. And you guys have been greenlit for season 2, right? So do you guys know anything? Have you seen anything? Do you know, are we staying in the same place? I don't want it to go outside of the restaurant, you guys. But it probably is. I know it's only, I just love that suffocation of the restaurant, you know, and when they go outside, I'm like, oh no, I don't want it, but I think it might happen, but they'll do it right. I trust. But
I trust them to do everything right.
Right?
They're just so talented, but I don't know anything.
Okay. Just how exciting that it's been greenlit again. So I was talking a little bit too with Allie before you came on, Ignacia, about how people misunderstand, people misunderstand the set makeup and the set departments and stuff like that. And can you just talk to me a little bit about that, about how people don't really realize all that you guys do and all that you're in charge of? And I'm not saying like it's a thankless job, but just my goal with this show always is to bridge that understanding in the community, because sometimes like there's a little bit of a silent war between fashion and set makeup. Do you know what I mean? And I just always want everybody to understand the value in both of the jobs. Do you ever see that sort of conflict or that invisible line, or what's your experience with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, so you're asking like contrasts from fashion world to set world.
Yes. And how they're really the same and we all should just be getting along.
Right. No, they are. Yeah. I mean, a little bit. Like I started in fashion makeup.
Same.
You did.
Red carpet. So I'm a bit rare person that kind of transferred over to this world. So I can testify for everybody.
Yeah.
But the difference for me is that here I'm able to tell a story.
Yes.
And everything that's added to their face is part of that story. It's not part of Ignacia artist. It's not me just showing off this look. It's this is necessary because they're tired, so we have to make them. Or even like the goal isn't always to make them look prettier or better or palatable.
Right.
It's more about, it's all about the story. It's all about being this tool to, get the audience to understand the script in the way that the creators intended it to be understood. So that's why those conversations are so important in the beginning of the show. And it really, it's very rare that a director or a creator, whoever's in charge of like green lighting your ideas, is like, okay, yes, you do whatever you want. Like you read the script, you like, deliver this to set however you see fit. We'll shoot it. Like that's super rare. They always have because they've been thinking about this for way longer than you have. They've been thinking this for how many years they've been thinking about the script. So like whenever they get to you, they're like, okay, this is exactly how I envision it. Yeah. And that's your job. It's your job to just deliver that and just, bring in your expertise and say, look, maybe that's not possible. Maybe we could do it this way and still get your wish in some way.
Yeah. So you're there to serve the vision. Right.
Yeah. Just to translate it into screen in the most like realistic way. So I think that's the difference. So they're very different worlds, but they both have that collaborative component that is very important, because even when you're doing red carpet, you're doing editorial, like you're still, dealing with creative directors or whoever your talent is in the red carpet. It's being a good collaborator and just understanding that there's so many other departments or so many other people that need you to be cohesive when choosing what you're doing is the key for all of it. So I think if you're successful in either one, that's something that you nailed, because you won't be successful if you are not willing to collaborate and you just want to make it like about your art being displayed.
Yes. So well
said.
You
have to take yourself kind of out of it. It's not about like you. It's about
right.
Showing like subtle nuances and where a person is, like how undone they are, how together they are. It's like there's such like little tweaks that you can do to like help tell the story that like you might not even notice until you notice, you know?
Yeah.
The other difference for me is when I was doing like editorial and red carpet, I looked a lot nicer at work. Working on set, I'm way more bedraggled. It's a no makeup, sweatpants situation for me on set. It's just a survival, you know, limping my way to the end of how I look. When I used to do red carpets, I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna look nice too. Now I'm like, as like haggard as I can be. I have the look of a set worker now.
Funny. That's really funny and true, right? And the big plastic.
Let's be real though. Like Ally's like toned down sweatpant look. It's still like Chanel. Like Ally is like
no, my whole Chicago vibe was Uncle Buck. I was like, I'm going full Uncle Buck in Chicago. I'm wearing a long coat, a hat, and I'm eating hot dogs. That's what I did.
So when we were always, like, so when they were in the kitchen, we were always like, so okay, so this is what's crazy. So we shot the pilot in the actual Mr. Beef restaurant. And then when we came back for episode 2, the season pickup, there was an exact replica of the restaurant in the kitchen. Not the outside of it, but the inside of it.
Okay, so first you're telling me that there is a Mr. Beef.
There is 100% a Mr. Beef. Is it Orleans Avenue? I think that's
it's on Orleans. It's 666 Orleans.
Oh no, why is it 666?
I can't believe you memorized.
I mean, I was eating a lot of beef. It was right by where I was staying.
Yeah. So there is an actual Mr. Beef, and it is spectacular. Everyone in Chicago should go there. Or if you're
going. Yeah.
Absolutely. Sure. But the inside, it is the most impressive thing. Like I remember walking in that first day of second episode, and I was like, I cannot believe, like I feel like I'm there. This is insane.
So it is a set.
Yes. So now it's a set.
Okay.
But it's only the interior. So we still shot exteriors in the restaurant, but the interiors were all staged. So
got it.
So when they're in the kitchen, so the way that it's laid out, it's exactly how it looks on the show. So it's like the kitchen area and like the register and like the sandwich section, and then there's like a door that leads into the dining room where they have the machines and the tables. So we would always be sitting at that dining area while they were shooting in the kitchen. And there was all these posters of like, I think I just went on a tangent on this Uncle Buck thing, but they like they had all these like posters of these Chicago movies, and
they do. Yeah. I noticed them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like Allie and I would just look at it and be like, I need a coat like that. I need that outfit. So
by the end, one of the 80s was like, you really nailed the Chicago vibe. Your outfit is very Chicago now. And I was like, okay, good. Nice. I'm assimilated.
Nice. It all worked. There was a plan the whole time. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to this place right away. So this place is going to be a big, huge tour destination.
Yeah. I mean, it already was.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a famous place. Got it.
I think so. It's like everybody, like any of my friends from Chicago, when I told them about it, they're like, oh my God, Mr. Beef. Like, it's like a thing.
Oh, okay.
Like that's one of the places to get Italian beefs in Chicago.
Okay.
And there is a real Mr. Beef.
Okay.
Well, his son runs it now. He's Son of Beef. Wait, that's what he introduced himself as.
You did meet him. You met him.
Oh yeah. He's in the show.
Oh, where?
In the pilot, he's giving the denim to Carmi's selling him the denim for the meat.
Okay.
Like he's trunk. Just a fast, like in the trunk.
Yeah. I'll remember.
Yeah. He's the best. He's so sweet.
In the first episode, he's buying the Levi's.
How did the money get in the cans, you guys?
We'll see.
Okay. We're editing all these, but I'm just wondering if we knew.
My mom's obsessed with that. How did that money get in there? I'm like,
I mean, around here, my son was like, find out how the money got in the can.
Honestly, for me, it was a dream job. Like it was every day was great. It was such a wonderful crew. The whole crew, the cast was fantastic. Chris and Joanna, the directors, were so wonderful to work with. Everybody was like just really open and collaborative, and just had like a positive vibe all around. So it was like,
it's so funny to hear you say that when like the stress and the toxicity of the kitchen on the show, it's so funny.
So like, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's like all this all these Carmi memes.
Yes,
and
yeah.
now Jeremy's like such a like sex symbol,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
from the show. And you know, and the big question is like, how is this like bad boy persona that's like kind of like ungroomed, like how is this now the new hot guy?
Well, I believe it's called dirtbag glamour, right?
Dirt
Like, yeah.
That's what they call it. And yeah, so that's been a big question we've been asked. Like, was that on purpose? Was that, you know, part of what you were trying to do?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't. And, you know, obviously, like his tattoos, who Benny Shields created he designed them on the pilot, and you know, we were lucky enough to be able to use them throughout the show. They were so amazing, and they were custom made for the character.
Do they each mean something?
They all have a meaning. Like, I mean, obviously the way that we place them. I don't know if you notice, he has like the 773 on the arm, which is an area code, and I aged that a little bit more because it's a tattoo that he would have gotten in his youth when he didn't really have an identity, where he was just like, well, nobody could like argue with me about this area code.
Right.
But
so smart.
You know, and again, I mean, I can't take the credit. Like, this was, you know, Jeremy was so, I mean, he had already created Carmi before I even came into the picture. He's the one that reached out to Benny, created these tattoos before I was even a part of it.
Is he going to get them? He can't now. So can you get the tattoo? No, you can't, because it'll look too fresh. You would have to age it.
Right. And yeah, I don't know if he actually has a bunch of tattoos. So we were covering his actual tattoos, so it didn't make sense for Carmi, and then we were adding the new tattoos on top.
Oh my God.
And
sometimes
also,
aren't you like, can't you just wear long sleeves today when you're
talking? We were in Chicago, so that actually worked out. There's some scenes where
yeah.
I'm like, yes. But he still has the hand tattoos, you know, so he still spent some prolonged amount of time in the trailer every morning, which were like the most, like, I actually look forward to those 5 a.m. mornings, because he would come in and like just sit, and we'd play music and just chat and be really chill before this hectic day. And I think like both of us really enjoyed that time. He's just so lovely. And like with Allie too, you know, Allie and I both would be like, oh, he's just so great. Like, we just had such a great morning before going to set.
That monologue in, what was it, the 8th episode, or this, maybe it starts the 8th episode, I believe.
The Al-Anon scene, yeah.
I didn't know my brother was using drugs. What does that say? As we got older, I realized I didn't know anything about him, really. He stopped letting me into the restaurant a couple of years ago. He just cut me off cold, and that hurt, you know?
I mean, I'm in recovery, been in recovery for 25 years, and they never get the meeting right? They never get it right, because it's always a big performance, and it's all in, you know, and I'm like, they finally got the meeting right. Like, oh my God, I was like, this is a masterclass in acting. Like, holy crap.
I had to watch it.
It was so beautiful.
So good. And what was it like working with Molly Ringwald that day?
When I saw that it was her, I never get starstruck ever, but I had to prep. I was like, okay, Molly Ringwald's gonna come in. Like, if I could tell young me that I was gonna be in the same room as Molly Ringwald one day, like, I would have never believed that. But she is the loveliest, most beautiful person. She and her scene was so well. I mean, it was perfect for her. It was. Yeah, she's great. She was great. She was fun. And also Oliver Platt was there. Oliver Platt was amazing. Like, he was so funny. He was so
funny.
Does Molly live in Chicago?
I think she lives in LA, but she definitely has roots in Chicago.
For sure, because of John Hughes. Yeah, that was great. I hope she comes back. I want them to like have a relationship and be, you know, like Al-Anon buddies.
Maybe like, yeah, exactly. But we really wanted to get it right. I think like that was the main thing we wanted to do with this show, is because the kitchen probably, I mean, just like most industries, like art, like they feel so unidentified and unrepresented, and you know, and on TV. And I think Chris really nailed it. Chris really nailed it with like the, you know, with everything, the writing, the speed, and you know, we wanted to add scars to Carmi too, because he would have scars. So we really took the time to really get those details in there to give that authenticity feel. And all the characters were so great, you know, and there were times where like I would look at the screen and I would see Liza, who, you know, her makeup was a little bit more toned down, and like, and I think like one of my day players sometimes she goes, oh, she looks a little shiny, and I was like, no, leave it. That's exactly what we need. Like, this is not a beauty show. So for me, that was such a learning experience to just let it be.
Yeah.
And it played so well. Like, she did her own brows that morning. And in another thing too, when I was watching the edit, after we were watching the show, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I had this conversation with the DP about the lighting and how the edit was going to happen, because there is such a, I don't know if to call it desaturation, but like things look a little bit warmer on the show. And I'm so glad that was discussed, because a lot of the time we don't get that information at all. And then they edit the show and everyone looks like they have jaundice, because no one
yes. Is that what happens?
Yes. So nobody tells you what the edit is like. And, you know, if you chose like a peach lip or whatever, it's going to look like crazy orange, you know? So those discussions, everyone was just so thorough and communicative and collaborative in this process. And we just became a little family, you know, and everyone trusted each other so much. And I think that's such a huge thing, when someone trusts you that much with something so beautiful, and like, you just want to make those people proud.
Yeah. What is the most scene like that for you? Like the most scene like that for you? The most, what's the scene that does that the most for you?
I think, well, obviously, like the go-to answers are the Jeremy monologues and like those moments. But I think for me is, I think it's when like they're in the kitchen in the flashback scene.
Fucking voice rang out, and the voice says, "What are you doing?" Right? And right in front of us, this guy, he turns around. Who was it? Bill Murray! Bill Murray! Of
course it's Bill Murray.
Oh, Bill fucking Murray! He's right there. Bill fucking Murray actually says to Richie, he says to me, he goes, "Why are you doing that?" And Richie says, "Because it's funny." He fucking says that to Bill Murray, because it's funny? And Bill Murray says, no.
No, it's not.
That is not funny. He goes, "Give me your phone."
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he goes.
And how Carmi's character is like more just admiring his brother and toned down, and like the way we all just like assimilate, or not assimilate, but like kind of shift how we are in every environment. Like, I know when I go home and are with my family, like I'm a different Ignacia than I am. No matter how successful you are, it doesn't matter. You come back home and it's like you're 12-year-old you know?
Yeah.
And that's such a relatable, and just Jeremy just has such a way to like make you feel like you can relate to everything because you don't necessarily have to have the same pain or the same suffering. Like, everything in that show was so specific to this industry and this family, but it was so relatable, you know, in different ways for me. And I'm sure for every review I've read, it's a similar feedback that like, wow, this really hit.
And it really, because it's written so masterfully that like, just when you're like, why doesn't he just leave? Like, just be done, go, you know, they hit you with that scene and you're like, that's why he can't leave. Every question is answered, you know what I mean? About why he can't leave. And you can see like what Mike was going through in that restaurant. They hand it right to us, and like what could have driven him to do like that stress of like why he left this world, you know?
And Richie too. Richie's character. Wasn't he amazing?
Cousin.
I can't.
Cousin. And just like his little moments where he had like little, like he was so like go go go, and then he'd be like, "Okay, I'm sorry." Just love.
Like some of his stuff was like, sorry to cut you off. Like when he was talking on the phone in the car with his daughter, it's like that quiet moment. It's like, oh, cousin breaks your heart. Like you see that other side of Richie, and it's like, oh man,
Again, because they're getting ready for us to feel sorry for him in the jail. You know what I mean? Otherwise, we would, if we didn't have that scene, we would be like, good, you get in, don't come out, be done, leave him alone. But you're just rooting for every rotten person. And everybody's just so human. Yeah. That's a character, right?
Yeah. And they got
and everybody knows somebody like that in their life, I feel like. Yeah. We all know that guy.
So lovable and just like, why are you in my life? But I want you here. And
I know. I love it when they're in the fridge and like he's introducing himself to Sydney and he's like, hey, I think they call her babe or something. And he's like, don't do that. It's creepy. And then she's like, it's a cultural thing. And then Sydney's like, oh, that's beautiful. And just walks out. It's like you just kind of like have to let people be. Sometimes you're like, I'm not gonna like sit here and try to convince you that that's not appropriate to say in a work environment. I'm just gonna like just let you be because this is a lost cause.
Exactly.
So like you just had a lot of like lost cause moments, but you love him like still, he's
totally.
Special.
How hard did I laugh when he's like, I'm stabbed. I'm stabbed.
Oh my god, that scene. So I don't know if you noticed, there's a tattoo on his
booty.
On his butt.
Yeah.
And that was like a last minute thing. And usually for those scenes, we have to get that stuff approved like way ahead.
Okay.
But like that morning, well, we kind of had discussions about it, but the choices he had, because tattoos have to be, original designs, but he wanted to have a specific design that we couldn't use. So like we ended up coming up with something, and like he goes, okay, just put it on. And I was like, no, I have to like go to talk to the director to ask like if this is okay. Like, no, it's fine. So there was like this weird like should I say something? Should I like just do it? But then we all kind of came to an agreement, like, okay, maybe we should like just mention it just to be safe. And so we added it like right before that scene. That wasn't a part of it's not on the script.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking to me, ladies. I could talk to you all day about the bear, obviously, and other things, but I will let you get on with your day. And
thank you.
And on to the next thing. So I will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so nice talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Look Behind the Look is a Vinyl Foot production, written by me, your host, Tiffany Bartok, produced by Jace Bartok, edited by Nicole Tucker. If you're interested in learning more, find our video version on the YouTube channel, Look Behind the Look Podcast. There you can see rare photos and clips from our guests. And please follow us on Twitter at LookBehindPod and Instagram at LookBehindTheLook. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. And tell your friends and spread the word. You can subscribe to us on iTunes or any podcatcher of your choice. Thanks for listening to Look Behind